Hi, everybody. Um, gosh, yes, first of all, the elephant in the room. I'm in my pajamas. I've been sick this is day 3. It's not cancer or chemo related. It's just I'm having problems with my autoimmune system. The funny thing is whenever they first start me on chemo, my autoimmune system goes completely berserk. But when I go off of it, it also goes berserk. And so with this chemo, I'm on it for 2 weeks and then I have a week off. So it looks like it's going to do this, right? Like I go on it and it goes berserk and then I go off of it and it goes berserk. So I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to have to see if I can even tolerate it. They might have to switch me to something else because I've pretty much been sick the entire week that I've been off of it. But I am scheduled to restart it. I was scheduled to restart it today, but storms in Houston and that area where my chemo comes from delayed me getting my chemo. So I'm now starting Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. They'll ship it to me. I'll get it on Monday and they'll ship it. Hey, how you doing? Rock it out for life. It's good to see you. This is going to be kind of a weird one. Oh, another thing, if you hear a bunch of like hammering or equipment and all that, they're working on our pool because remember we had the little bull that got in there. Hey, Joel, and tore up the liner. So we are having the liner replaced today, which is kind of a funny story. I just hate when people just act like that I don't know what I'm talking about. Hey guys, everybody's coming in. I'm sorry, Miss Sunrise Dawn, that I didn't tell you that I was coming on. Really, I'm not in my complete best place. I'm still sick. So anyway, so when we were going to get our pool liner replaced, the lady at the pool liner place was like, "Is it the kind that folds over the part that goes around the outside part, whatever that's called, or does it have rivets?" And I said it folds over, and then there's another part that the top railing folds over, comes over that, and protects it. So she kept saying, "No, I think that it's if you got it because she knew when we got it and everything. We didn't buy it there, but we told her when we got it, and she said, I think that this is what was popular right then. I think that it's this kind with the rivets, blah blah blah." And I said, "I don't think so." Well, I was so adamant that she had me to take pictures before they set up the day to come out and fix it. So I took pictures and I sent them to her and sent them to my husband. And I was like, "See, I think that it's the fold over kind. It's not a rivet kind." She says, "No, it's a rivet kind." Guess what? The guy gets out here and guess what kind it is? It's the fold over kind, which is not a big deal other than it's going to cost us more money to have it fixed because there's really it's not, a difference in price or whatever when you're getting it done when you buy it. But when you're having to, because they ordered the liner for the rivet kind and we don't have rivets. So luckily he had whatever he needed to fix it. So anyway, but if you hear a bunch of noise, it's that they've been at it all day, a bunch of hammering, and I don't know what all they're doing out there. I haven't walked out there. I don't even want to know because it's depressing to me. But anyway, so if you hear a bunch of that noise, that's what it is, or see somebody randomly walk by back here or something, that's what it is. Or if you catch me doing this where I'm looking out the window because they catch my attention, walking around or something. It's a crazy day here at what we call Thurmanville. So anyway, let's get started, y'all. I want to welcome everyone to our channel. I'm always just so excited to see you guys here, whether you're here for the live or for the replay. It is always kind of shocking to me how many people really do show up. So I just want to thank you for being here. I mean, it means the world to me. It really does. I say that all the time, but it truly does. Today's topic is serious. And although you might not be in a cult or, a real one, not our silly antics that we're playing here with our, cult of Arontology and my personal cult of tautology or cult of coffeetology, but in a real cult, you know, or if you're in a high control situation at all, some of this may be of interest to you or to somebody that you know. What I found interesting was I want you to pay particular attention to the ways that people end up in a cult. It just, when I was reading them, I thought, wow, that's, how easy would that be? I mean, I could easily end up in a cult. So I think that you could too. But we think about how does people get in these cults and stuff. And when we get to that part, I think that you'll really find it interesting. We do have super chats and channel memberships available. They're not required or expected. Your presence, honestly, I know it's just like a spiel that we all say, but it really is. Your presence is enough. The other is amazing and fun and helps me pay the bills on this channel, but not necessary. The merch store, however, is open, and I am working on some new merch to put in there, some hats, some caps, some other cool stuff. I'm hoping to get a bunch of that uploaded maybe tomorrow. Being sick really shut me down. I've laid in bed and design some stuff, but then I fall asleep and sleep for a few hours. So anyway, so anybody coming in, yes, I am in my pajamas and my robe. And I'm sorry. I took a shower, washed my hair, did all the shaving and everything that I haven't had to do for a year because I've been bald. And now all of a sudden I have to shave my pits and my legs and, whatever. So I did all that. And then I thought, I don't feel like getting dressed. I did put on a little bit of eye makeup and lip gloss or lipstick to make myself look a little bit different or alive, not different than what I was looking for sure. So if you are trying to leave Scientology, please contact the SPTV Foundation or the Aftermath Foundation. Both are there to help you. Please stay safe, but leave as soon as you can. Or if you see a protester, go to them. Go to them. I know some of them are acting crazy and what they're doing is they're trying to get your attention. If they were just sitting out there, you probably wouldn't notice them as much. So they make some noise and act a little crazy, wear some costumes, right? And plus, it irritates the cult's security guards, which is always fun. But if you do see a protester and you do want to leave, go to them. Just go to them and say, help me. I need out now. Or help me figure out a way. Of course, I know that can be dangerous unless you're ready to leave with them right then because, OSA will see you and all that. But they are there to help. They do care. We all care, y'all. So please, if you see that, go to them. But this video is going to be mostly about ways to prepare to leave. I'm not going to give you like a step-by-step. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not a professional. I did a lot of research and I tried to find things that a bunch of the professionals seem to agree on and kind of, put it all together into something that we could just, share. And of course, we're talking to members of Scientology, but also to any high control group or high control relationship. I think that this will really, some of it is really going to click for people that are in high control relationships. So, I am just trying to have some simple things to tell you and some little pitfalls that you need to think about first. And it's not meant to scare you. Certainly not meant to scare you out of leaving. We want you to leave. But just so that you're kind of aware of everything and it just makes you kind of think, right? Because in a lot of these things, you have been taught to not think. They want to tell you that you're thinking for yourself, but you're not. In most of these cases, you're just not. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know I'm just rambling on, but I really want to help you guys. And for all the silliness and for all of the in-depth deep dives that I do, I'm going to throw in these videos here and there that are just meant to connect with somebody that might need to hear it from somebody that I don't know your situation. I am absolutely a never in, but I care. And there's a lot of us that do care. And if you happen to be, watching this somehow, please take care of yourself, be safe, and get out, please. Anyway, oh, and by the way, if you hear a noise, it's my menopause fan, because somehow I have managed to be freezing cold and burning hot at the same time. It's a Hashimoto's thing, y'all. Okay, sorry. The first step the first step is facing the fact that you may actually be in a cult or a high control group or relationship. They're all dangerous, and they all really act the same way. It's like there's some kind of book, like a guidebook that they all seem to follow. Admitting this to yourself that you are in a cult or in an abusive situation can be scary. And if you're trying to leave a church, it can feel even sacrilegious, because you want to believe in it, and especially those that are leaving like an actual, like, I don't know how to put it, like, I don't know the wording, but like an actual church, like a church that actually has services and prays to God or to whoever, because there are those kind of churches that are absolutely cults too. And so when you start questioning things, we're not taught to question it. We're supposed to believe it and trust God. And so for those people in those kind of situations, it can be terrifying too. Or just, you know, for different reasons, Scientology, leaving it is scary, or leaving a high control relationship is scary. We're just here to tell you, we know it's scary. We know and we understand. Next, you really need to understand that being involved in a cult or in a high control relationship of any kind, it's not something to be ashamed of. It doesn't make you less of a person. It doesn't make you stupid. It doesn't make you unforgivable if you've done things in that cult that you're not proud of. We know that in Scientology, a lot of people do a lot of things that they are not proud of. But that's no reason to just stay there and just continue to be abused. You are forgivable. People will forgive you. We understand you're being coerced, and we understand that. You're going to have to, like, take that on as your mantra, whatever the word is, mantra. And you're going to have to repeat that to yourself many, many times, because about the time that you start to believe it, then something's going to happen and you're not going to believe it anymore. That goes for high control relationships too. There are 6 basic steps to leaving a cult, but every situation is different. And so you can kind of take these steps into consideration, but adapt them to your situation. But I'm going to list them, and then I'm going to go back over them in a minute and kind of show you what I mean by these steps. But the steps are to understand your situation. You need to understand you are in a cult, or you are in an abusive situation, or you're just in a situation that is exhibiting too much control over you. Like, maybe it's not an actual cult. Maybe it's some kind of business that you've gotten yourself into, a job, anything. It can all be just too much. Number 2, decide when to leave. That's important. Now, if it's an emergency, you'll leave now. But if you have the opportunity, you need to decide. You can even kind of give yourself a timeline, but don't like stick to that so much that you can't do anything, because you might break that timeline or something. This one is very important. Number 3, create or seek a safe landing spot. That can be through a foundation, like the SBTV Foundation. That can be with a former friend or relative, or just somebody that's not in the cult. It could be going to the police. It can be going to a hospital. There are lots of places. Even libraries are safe places to run to and to get help. There's just a lot there. Look around you, kind of figure out what you can do. Think about that part. Again, if you've got time, if you're in a life-threatening or whatever situation, leave. Go now. Number 5 is recover and rebuild. This takes a long time, y'all. Recovering and rebuilding takes a long time. It's kind of a lifelong thing. You're going to constantly find yourself recovering. I was in a high control marriage. He wasn't abusive, but I was in a high control marriage for 17 years. I've been out of it for like 23 years, and I still feel myself slip into some of my mindset from that time. And like I said, he wasn't even abusive. He just controlled everything. There was a lot of things, and a lot of it's because I let him, but a lot of it was because it just wasn't worth fighting it. It just wasn't worth the arguments and all that was going to happen. And number 6 is just live. That's the best part, right? You get to live and everything that comes with that. Live your life, your best life. Sometimes your not so best life, but live, right? But before we deep dive into those, let's think about a few important key points that any cult member or under the radar cult member or anyone in a high control relationship has. These parts can help you determine if you're in a high control situation and if you have time to leave or if you need to escape now. So that's what we're going to go over right now. So number 1 is, are you being harmed by the group's teaching and the environment created by its members? And there's lots of ways to be harmed. I'm not talking about just somebody's beating the hell out of you. Are you being harmed? And I mean, again, this can apply to cults, relationships, all kinds of things. Number 2, remember that most cult members or even people in abusive relationships or high control relationships don't realize that they're in a cult or a high control situation. They don't realize it until after they leave. I didn't. It was after I left that I thought, what? I mean, before I thought, man, it is annoying. It's not worth fighting with him. I'm just going to let him have his way, that kind of thing. I mean, he wasn't beating me up, right? So, I mean, that's what we watch for. Is he hitting you? Is he, doing these things? But no, mine was all, or mostly all, verbal and just temper tantrums, and pouting and that kind of thing. Those can all be really hard to walk away from and really hard to even realize that you're in. You don't put it together. Number 3, it is a high control situation if the group or person belittles your sense of self, slows personal and psychological development, or have ideas and actions that are harmful. You need to think about those because we don't always think about all of it. Number 4, most people don't understand concepts like spiritual abuse, thought reform, coercive control until after they have left the situation. The recovery process can take months, years, even decades. That's what mine was. It was coercive control. I was always just being coerced into doing stuff. And so I understand that. And they don't always beat you up to control you. Same with cults. They don't always beat you up. Sometimes it's real sneaky how they do it. It's just, and if you grew up in like something like Scientology, you don't even realize, which is so sad and so scary. Number 5, don't fall into the trap of thinking there's a timeline either to leave or to recover. Everyone's timeline is different. You worry about your timeline. And number 6, does your involvement in the cult or situation hurt other people? Is your freedom being limited? Are you being coerced? Even if that means harming others. In Scientology, we know that a lot of their coercion causes them to actually hurt other people, whether it be physically or mentally or emotionally or whatever. I mean, there's just a lot that goes on. And yeah, those people are doing terrible things like bull baiting and even like the auditing and all that, but they're being coerced to do it. So it's kind of a victim on victim situation. They're all victims except for the ones at the very top. I don't consider them victims. I will never consider them victims. But the others, I think it is a lot of times a victim on victim situation. There are multiple ways or reasons that people join coercive groups, cults, or high control relationships. And like I was saying before, if we're honest, I think that we all can see that this could be us easily. Even like some of the things that people say, like with their little, I'm gonna have to take this robe off now. See, this is my little burning up, and then I'll probably have it back on in a minute because I'll be freezing. Oh gosh. You know how they tease us that we're in a cult? Well, no, tease, they mimic and, just belittle us and say that we're in the cult of Aaron and all this. And that's why we have taken to making a joke out of it. But if you listen to these reasons, they're using these against us. But at the same time, they are true ways that people get into cults. We just don't happen to be in one. Of course, all cult members think that, right? But I think that by looking into, what cults really are, that's how we know we're not in one. We're not being coerced. We're not being controlled. We're not all those things. So anyway, but how can you find yourself suddenly, you're like, well, crap, I'm in a cult, right? How do you do that? Number one, you were born into or raised in this group. That happens so often, excuse me, in Scientology. As we see all these second gens that are speaking out, they were born into or raised from a very young age in the cult. They don't know any better. When you don't know any better, the stuff that they're teaching you doesn't seem that crazy. I mean, I consider myself a Christian. I absolutely believe it. And some people think that the Christian faith or, that we are in some sort of a cult too, but I hear all the stuff. I truly believe it. I believe in it. Doesn't mean that I don't see that it's kind of a little hard to believe. But why do I believe it? Because from the time I was born, this is what I was taught. It's the same with being born into or raised in an actual cult. So, that's what that one's about. Number two, joining a group for community or shared interests. Pretty simple, huh? Isn't that what we're all doing? We're a community. We have a shared interest. But cults take that and twist it into something ugly. It's not an ugly concept. They make it ugly. And that's what you need to watch for, is somebody doing it in a way that is not good for you. It's not healthy. The group fulfilled a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Again, isn't that what we're doing here? Absolutely. But cults, again, twist it. High control, relationships and all that, they twist it. They take your desire for a sense of purpose and fulfillment and use it against you. And that's the bad part. That's when it becomes culty, whether it's an actual cult or just a culty situation. When they twist it and use it against you, that's when it gets bad. Number four, your support of a worthy mission led you to the group. Don't we have a worthy mission here? Ending Scientology? Absolutely. Freeing the people that are stuck in Scientology? Absolutely. But again, we're doing it for the right reasons and in the right way. Cults would twist that into something that benefited them, benefited their leader. They don't give a damn if it benefits you or benefits the people that you think you're helping. But I'm just like blown away by how these could all be anybody. Anybody. 5, the group empowers a sense of spiritual and personal growth. Absolutely. Again, isn't that wonderful? Who wouldn't want to do that? Right? Wouldn't we all want to do that? The cults, they know how to use it. They know how to use an absolutely honorable desire that most people have and just twist it. 6, lack of awareness of coercive practice made you vulnerable. Scientology is good at this because, from what I understand, when you very first start into it, it sounds great. It's a self-help thing. It helps you with communication. It helps. It gets a little bit more crazy as it goes along until you actually get up to the completely wackadoodle place that most of you that are watching this, if you're in the cult, don't know. You've been told that if you learn about these things before you're ready, that you'll die. Knowledge should never kill you. Something that is a good knowledge, something that is supposed to be good for you, should never kill you. But that's how they scare you. Number 7, you joined of your own volition. I can't even tell. Volition. I know the word. I can't say it. Volition. You joined of your own volition to see what the group life is like. This happened a lot, especially in the 60s and 70s, when communal living was like all the rage. Everybody really was into that kind of thing. Or not everybody, but a lot of people. It was really romanticized and everything. And I mean, if you think about it, it can sound pretty good. You know, you don't have to actually go to work every day. Everybody kind of, you know, they create a garden and raise the animals and they do all this stuff, and you know, everybody helps each other. And that can kind of sound good until they get you. Regardless of how you got there, though, the facts show that most cult members think about leaving, try to leave, or successfully leave at some point. So for all the stuff that is so wonderful, that they tell you is so wonderful, most members try to leave, want to leave, try to leave, or do leave. It's pretty telling. You're not alone. You're not stupid. You have self-worth, abilities, and potentials. And you know what? If you leave and you have to work at McDonald's for a little bit, there is no shame in that, y'all. Do you know that in California, McDonald's pays like $20 an hour? Not even kidding. A lot of states across the country, McDonald's pays pretty damn good. A lot better than the Sea Org. And if you have to start there, there's no shame in that. There's no shame in starting anywhere. You know, if you start in just a starting position at McDonald's, I know people that they start out just, you know, flipping burgers or working the register or something, and before long they own their own franchise of McDonald's and they are millionaires. So don't let them tell you that, you know, flipping burgers at McDonald's is like some dead end job, because it's not. Is it being a doctor or a lawyer? No. But you know what? You can flip burgers or sweep floors or whatever while you go to school if that's what you want to do. It's better than what you're doing now. And I guarantee it's probably a whole lot easier in less hours. Find a support group or counseling. And this is going to be more for people that are like public or have already gotten out. But when you find one, find somebody that deals with high control groups and practices, and do that as soon as you can. As soon as you leave and you have secured the absolute necessities, then this should be next on the list. You want to understand the situation. Groups, even high control, are a support network. It's not all bad. There's something supportive about we're all in this together kind of a thing. And we understand that. And that makes it really hard to leave because they do know what you're doing. Fundamental assumptions leave with you. That's pretty important, y'all. And I'm going to go into it more in a little bit. But just because you leave the group doesn't mean that all their teachings leave. They leave with you. You carry them with you, even when you don't want to. Number 3, realize and accept that leaving will be difficult. There's no easy deal. I mean, I hope that it's easy, and some people have it easy, but let that be the surprise if it happens to be easy. If you know, kind of plan for the worst kind of a deal. Decide when to leave. Leaving means leaving the only support group a person has ever known. And they'll use this to pull you back in or to keep you from leaving, to terrify you, or to traumatize you with disconnection. Both suck and are forms of manipulation and can be temporary. If you leave, maybe those that you left behind will leave too. Maybe they'll see that you did okay. Maybe they won't. But you have to do you, boo. You got to take care of you. Awareness is key. Have your head on a swivel when you are thinking about leaving. And do not waste time or energy trying to second guess how it's going to play out. You just don't know, because you can't control the narrative or the actions of the people around you. You can't control the ones that's going to tattle on you. You can't control that the security guard walked a different direction than what you have watched and know he's going to do every time. You can't control that. So you just have to kind of control what you do and plan for these things. Like, have more than one way of doing things. Have these things that made up in your mind that, okay, if this happens, I'll do this. If that happens, I'll do that. Plan those in advance if you can. If you can't, get your ass out of there now. Run. But if you can, plan. Number 3, be aware that they will, if they figure out you're wanting to leave, they will try to isolate you and undermine your actions or your desires to leave. They'll do it. That's how they keep you in there. They're going to try to scare you. They're going to have your family, beg, intimidate, even be mean to you. I mean, they might lock you in a room. There's all kinds of different ways depending on your situation. I don't know what the situation is. Same thing with high control relationships. I was told constantly that nobody would want me. I had my finances were controlled, because if I went and got a job, which, it was like, well, I make the money, you don't make any money, you don't get to say, you're worthless, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'd go get a job. Well, guess what? When I'd go get a job, immediately he'd start saying that I was having an affair with any guy that worked at the same place that I did. So I'd end up quitting because it's not worth it. So then what happens? I'm back in the same situation where I'm dependent on him for finances and everything. That's high control. And it took me a long time to notice it, to understand it. And that's what they use to keep you there. Number 4, leaving is hard, but staying is harder. Be safe, be smart, and you may have to play along with the group or the person for a while. It's just how it is. You might have to just play along until you can work out a plan. Number 5, if you are in imminent danger, leave now. Have an emergency plan as well as your longer term plan. If you're sitting there trying to figure out how long term you can get out, you can plan this. You can do all this stuff. You can plan how you're going to leave, what you're going to do when you leave and everything. But while you're doing that, also have some sort of an idea of what you would do if you suddenly figured out that you need to leave right now. Because those situations happen. Like I said, fundamental assumptions that you have been either raised with or programmed to believe leave with you. It's very likely that critical thinking is what has gotten you to the point where you're even considering leaving either a cult or a high control relationship. It's motivating you to leave, right? What's funny is that is really a huge step. It really is, because they teach you to not have critical thinking, right? They teach you, whether it's a person or a group, to do as you're told. And somehow, I can't really explain it, but you really do think that you're thinking for yourself, but you're not. But if you've started thinking about leaving, that is critical thinking. That is your mind coming back. And it's very amazing, but also scary. So while that is awesome, remember that the fundamental thought process you have in a high control group does leave with you, and those take time to break down. It's not immediately. You don't walk out of the door or run for your life and suddenly forget everything that you've been taught. They come with you. And like I said, I'm like 22, 23 years out from just a controlling relationship. And I still fall into those same thought processes. My poor husband, Mark, he often suffers for crimes he didn't commit. And those thought processes can cause you, especially in the beginning, to go back. And I didn't go back. Once I left. But I'm not going to lie. Even though I had everything worked out, I really did create a plan and went through with the plan because I was lucky. He worked out of state and I could very openly, without having to hide so much, make my plans for what was going to happen. And I did that. But I still got scared and wanted to go back. So can you imagine people that have like not had that opportunity to do that, or who have been beaten into submission? Because I wasn't beaten. Y'all, escaping physically and escaping mentally are two completely separate issues, and they both take time and determination. And remember, this one's important too. Not all memories that you have in the cult or in this relationship or whatever are bad. And it's okay to have those good memories and to take those memories with you. That's absolutely okay. You know, I have amazing memories from my marriage, and we're friends now because of the good memories. And because he was not a bad person, he was just a very controlling person. And I think that he has really learned a lot by my leaving, and with his now wife. She just, you know, she's not having it. She don't put up with it. And so, I was 18 when we got married. I went from mom and daddy's house to his house. And so, Reese, get down. My cat is being ridiculous. When I'm sick, she hovers. Like, it drives me nuts. She hovers. But anyway, realize that leaving will be hard. Many cult members leave behind important relationships, family members, possessions, jobs, stability. Same with high control relationships. Sometimes you're leaving everything behind. It's scary and it's hard. And that's why so many people stay in it. It's one of the ways they manipulate you. You're not alone. You are brave. And you have so many people's deepest sympathies and empathies, because we sympathize with you and empathize with you, and we understand how hard that is. And again, just because if you knock my fan off, we're going to have words. Oh, she likes to twist up in my fan cord. Anything to drive me nuts. Even though a lot of the protesters, they act silly and everything, they wouldn't be out there if they didn't sympathize with you and empathize with you and care. I mean, there are probably hundreds of things that they'd rather be doing than just like marching in front of the building or sitting in front of a restaurant, getting arrested, getting swatted, all these things. But they believe in your right to live. And even if there's nobody protesting outside your door, there are a lot of people out here that believe in your right to live freely. You won't always feel strong or brave, but you also won't always feel weak or scared. And the most amazing thing is that in the normal, real life out here, feeling strong and brave and weak and scared are all very normal. It just is part of life, and you will learn that it's an amazing part of life. You need to decide if now is a good time to leave, because sometimes now is absolutely the best time to leave. Run. But sometimes it's not. Timing and circumstances of your departure are very important. Do you have any responsibility to others that will be affected by your exiting the group? In the long term thing of it, you gotta worry about you. But how they get you is that you worry about what it's going to do to others. So think about it. Think about it. Are there any people that really are going to be affected by you leaving? Or is that just something that's being used against you? Do you have access to resources within the group that will be denied upon your leaving? It's another one that they use. They use it against you. Well, if you leave, I'm going to turn off your cell phone. If you leave, you won't have health insurance. You won't have car insurance. Those are what people in high control relationships hear. I'll take your kids away from you. You don't have an income. How can you raise your kids? Right? So it is a lot the same kind of situations in a cult. Everything in your life has been centered around that cult. Your job, everything, your place where you live, your food, everything. Don't let them use that against you. It's one of the things they use. But you can work it out, I promise. 4, will leaving your current mindset leave you vulnerable to other forms of coercion, or retaliation by the group? They scare you with that, right? They can tell you, oh, you're just leaving here and you're going to go get in this group, and they're worse. They're worse. I mean, that relationship would be worse for you, or whatever, or the whole retaliation, fair gaming. Not just cult members get fair. I got fair gamed when I left my relationship. I mean, that's what it is. I hate using their words. I don't want to do that. But it fits. It absolutely fits. I was stalked. I had my house broke into. One by one, this was kind of funny. One by one, our remote controls went missing. One by one. I mean, we had several TVs in the house. And one by one, they went missing. Y'all, and of course, he said I was crazy, but I was making it up. Well, we packed up that entire house and then unpacked it when we moved to our new place. We never unpacked one single remote, and the house we left was completely empty when we left it. So, and the one we came to was completely empty when we started unpacking. So, yeah. And I know that that's so simple and so easy, and I'm not going to go into all the ways that I was stalked and everything. That's not what this is about. It's not about me. But I just want you to know, cult members, yeah, they're probably going to try to do that. High control relationships, they're probably going to try to do that. Be ready for it. Set your mind that this is going to happen and how you're going to react to it. It's all up here. You got to be ready. You got to just be like, okay, this is probably going to happen. And this is how I'm going to react to it. This is not meant to talk you out of leaving. This is to acquaint you with making informed plans and decisions for yourself, because that's been taken away from you for however long that you've been in this cult or this relationship. you haven't really been able to think for yourself. And so, even though I've mentioned things that aren't fun to think about, you got to think about them. It's part of being out in the real world. It's actually part of the good part, because even thinking about the bad things is great when you come right down to it. Once you figure out that this is pretty cool, that I can actually think for myself. You can like be sitting there like the other day. This is silly, but you know, you're having a cookout. Do you want a hamburger or a hot dog? You get to choose. You can choose a hamburger. You can choose a hot dog. And guess what? You can choose both. You can have both. And nobody's going to think you're crazy. Nobody's going to slap it out of your hand. Nobody's going to punish you for it. Nobody's going to call you a fat pig. And if they do, knock the shit out of them. It's that simple. It's pretty cool. It'll take you a while, but you will get there. Again, I want to stress, if you are in imminent danger, leave now. You don't have to have everything in place. You can just leave now. That is always an option. Leaving any high control situation is traumatic, y'all. And you can't second guess how leaving will play out. That is for sure. I had everything planned, and it did eventually go to how I planned it. But I had everything planned. He even knew I was going. By the time he knew, I already had money saved back, a place to go. I already had all this stuff in place and told him. In fact, I moved him out while I finished getting ready. We were going to use the same lawyer. We already had everything on paper. How we wanted everything to go. He would have actually worked out better if he'd have went by what we had planned because he actually got ordered to pay like way over double what I was willing to take. But I had all the plans. Everything was working out great. I went to my lawyer that he knew I was going to. Absolutely knew. Came back to my parents where I was picking up the girls. And he was waiting down the road and tried to run over me with his truck. Yeah. So, you can't ever, there's my dog again. You can't ever tell how it's going to play out. And it's just part of life. Create a safe landing spot. I did that, y'all. First of all, I did move him out. But in the meantime, I also had in my plan where I could go if things got twisted and where I was going in between times, because I didn't want to re-sign the lease on the place where I was living because I couldn't afford it all by myself. And I was doing it, but it was a struggle. So we were actually buying a mobile home and putting it out on my parents' land where we live currently. Not in that mobile home, but we do live on this land currently. But there's going to be a month, 2 months in between. But I had to have a safe place to land, and luckily I could stay with my parents. If you're leaving a cult, you might not have that, but you might have somebody else that you can stay with, no matter what that means. Within reasons. You got to be safe. So to seek a safe landing spot, your first thing you have to do is safely secure a shelter of some sort, whether it be with a friend on their couch, with your parents, in a homeless shelter, whatever. Your next thing that you have to know you can get is food and water and your medications. Third is your ability to sustain yourself and seek employment. Either you've got some money saved up to get you through for a while, or you're going to have to go get you some sort of job or something. Maybe that means signing up on some kind of welfare. You know what? There is no shame in that. That's what it's there for. Potentially seek out with safe friends or family. Even if you haven't really talked to them for a while, seek them out. But don't be shocked if some of them are kind of scared and don't want to get involved. If that's the case, go to the next. They have a right to be scared. You're scared. You wouldn't be leaving if you weren't scared. If you need to leave quickly, do it. Leave at the first opportunity you have. Connect quickly with old friends or family. Seek help from law enforcement, homeless shelters, foundations like the SPTV Foundation. If you have time to plan, then seek legal consultation or plan a safe place if necessary. There are shelters that will not let them know you're there. I didn't go to a shelter like that, but I was a hairstylist for a long time. And I had the opportunity to go to one of these shelters that literally hides women who have fled abusive relationships with their children or alone. And we went in there and we did haircuts and styles and did manicures and pedicures. It was amazing, you all. There are places there like that everywhere. They don't advertise, but you can talk to like your law enforcement, hospitals, libraries, those kind of places, even like Quick Trip. There are a lot of safe places that you can go and they will get you somewhere. Gather as much personal information and documents as possible. If you can hide any cash away, do it. I don't care if it's $10. I was lucky. When I left, I had about $2,000 saved up. Now, I left, but then when we filed for divorce, I had to admit that I had it. But guess what? I still had it. But no matter how much it is, it's helpful. If it's cab fare, it's helpful. If it's enough to get you a drink because you just ran a mile to get away from them and now I need a soda or something, y'all. Whatever it is, there's something about having even a little bit of cash that is absolutely yours that is so helpful. You got to remember the perfect situation may never exist. And that only you know what your situation is and when it's as good as it's likely to get. Now, let's say you have left and it's now time to recover and rebuild. And we're almost done. Build from the basics first, necessities first. Get that place of shelter, that food, that water, your medication. All that's the most important. And all of that can be done through foundations like SPTV Foundation or law enforcement, homeless shelters. They will all help you with these sort of things. Then seek advice from a medical or mental health professional. Because I know a lot of times you've been taught that they're evil, but they're not. And you know what? You can always leave. That's not a cult. If you go to some sort of a counselor or something and you don't like them, you feel like you're being controlled, you don't feel like they understand you, get up and leave. It's not a cult. They're not going to beat you. They're not going to stalk you. Just leave. Understand that not everything is fixable. It's very important. But also that everything is figure-outable. There's a difference. But figure-outable sometimes is every bit as good as fixable. Resist the urge to save others. Except obviously if you have dependents, like if you need to run with your kids or leave with your kids, of course them. Have y'all ever seen, I know some of you have, but have you ever seen severe storm damage? Trees are uprooted, homes are destroyed, there's floods, there's power outages and all that, right? That's how many cult survivors feel right after leaving. Everything's uprooted. Their homes are destroyed. They're flooded with emotions. They feel powerless. They're scared. But just keep moving, y'all, because if you just keep moving one step at a time, clearer skies are coming. It will get better. You might feel overwhelmed, but that's okay. It's normal. It gets better. It gets easier. Resist the urge to be a savior. It's normal and common to want to save the other group members or even friends of yours that, like, if you leave a bad relationship and you know your best friend is in it too, it's normal to want to save her too. It's normal. It's human nature. But you got to save yourself first. And you have to give yourself time to really recover and rebuild and acclimate yourself to this new world that you're in. You have to protect yourself against the urge to rescue other people that you left behind, like in a cult or something. Because they know the guilt buttons to push and the phobia indoctrination to use that could trigger you into going right back. It's the same with an abusive situation. They know what to push. My ex-husband knew what buttons to push. He knew what fears that I had. And you've got to just get yourself to a place where you know that that's what this is, so that you don't listen and you don't go back. And last but not least, live. Live. You know, life always finds a way, y'all. Survivors of control groups or controlling relationships, they go on to live happy, healthy, productive lives. I certainly have. Strangely, I'm good friends with my ex now. That's not always possible, so don't count on that. But, you know, it is possible to have everything you want or some variation of it. The saddest thing is, and if any of you have lost somebody that you love, you'll understand this, that going through trauma doesn't make life stop and wait for whatever your situation is, right? When you lose somebody, isn't it just like depressing to see the whole world is just like still going on as if that most important person in the entire world didn't just die? Because the world still goes on, right? And that's going to go on when you leave. You're going to see the cult's going to go on. Oh, they're going to, have their times of trying to make you think that they just can't survive without you. You can't survive without them. Same with the relationship. But really, they're going on. And you can too. Life goes on. And it's always a good day to not be in a cult or in an abusive situation. So that's all I got, guys. And I'm going to go to the chat and see what y'all are saying. I've been glancing over occasionally and seeing a few things. Thanks for letting me talk about this. I hope that at some point, maybe years down the road, this video might be seen by somebody that really needs to see it. And like I said, I didn't give like a step-by-step way to get out because every situation's different. I could tell you, you do this, you do this, you do this, then you do this. That might not work for you. So I've just wasted my time, your time. What I was trying to do is say, listen, this is some of the things that can happen before you leave. This is some of the things you need to consider before you leave, after you leave, everything. Get them thinking more again, because I think the strongest hold that cults or abusive relationships have on you is they take away your ability to think for yourself. And that's kind of what this whole video was, is just getting you to think for yourself, giving you like little seeds that, oh, I didn't think about the fact that this or that, or, oh, yeah, they're going to do this, or they're doing this to me right now. They know I'm trying to leave and they're doing this to me right now. This happens to everybody. This woman sitting in her dining room in Oklahoma knows that this is normal. And so that's what the whole theme of this video is. And honestly, it's not just for cult members. It really is for those of you that might just be in a controlling relationship or some kind of controlling situation. I just want everybody to know that you can leave. My cat has twisted this around my foot. Silly cat. Anyway, I'm going to go to the chat. Rocket Out for Life is here. Hi, Kim. Joel is here. It's good to see you. Hope you're feeling better. I don't know how to say your name. Chiyoko? Love and healing to you. Thank you. I am feeling better. My headache is going away. I'm not asleep. That's a start. My eyes they're still swollen. I don't know if you can tell behind my glasses, but they were almost swollen shut. Miss Sunrise Dawn. Denise, hi everybody. Joel says the way into a cult can be many different situations. Even smart folks can have it happen. Absolutely. Getting out can be really hard. I have had friends, had a son get into the Moonies in the 70s. Took years to get him out. Yeah. I had a friend that got into the Branch Davidians. You would have never, ever thought of him as somebody that would get into a cult. He is like this golden child, this golden example of what you think, you want your son to be. He is amazing. He's out of it now. His parents got him out, kicking and screaming, but they got him out. He's safe. He has a wife and children, and I don't know if he has any grandkids yet, but he has a wonderful life now. And if he hadn't got out, he'd likely be dead. There are as many reasons and ways to get into a cult as there are people. DJ says the simpler the better. Really just let people know that we really care. We really do care. And that's what I want them to know, is that we really do care. Even those silly antics that some of the protesters do, they're doing it because they care. They're trying to get their attention. They're trying to get your attention so that you'll look at them and see that they're having a good time. They might look goofy AF. But they're having a good time. And some of them are giving away free hot dogs. Ellie J, hi. Good to see you guys. The Sunrise Dawn. Oh, so it was Ellie J's birthday. Happy birthday. Mine's coming up in just a few days on the 7th. My lucky number. So I'm going to be 58, y'all. I really don't care. Age has never meant anything to me. I don't care. I mean, I don't want to look old. I think I look older than I should, but a lot of that's I've had a lot of chemo and radiation. The Sunrise Dawn says, you're so right, Susie. I hope so. Yes. Nico says there are often repetitions of patterns and also program behavior. Absolutely. Absolutely. No matter how ridiculous or crazy some cult leaders look, they know how to pull people in and manipulate. Otherwise, they would not be the leader. First of all, absolutely. No matter how crazy that we think it is, I was talking to my husband and to one of my daughters both my daughters the other day, and I said, I wonder if these leaders of cults, like, do they believe their own shit, or do they know that they're lying? I mean, I cannot tell you how many people think that they are the reincarnation of Christ, or someone. I mean, they're never the reincarnation of Joe Blow down the street. It's always Christ. And I just wonder, does their particular brand of crazy mean that they believe it, or that they just want you to believe it? I really wonder about that. And we'll never probably know. It's just one of those things I really wonder about. The Sunrise Dawn is a proud member of the Cult of Coffeetology. I'm actually going to have some merch that says that. And I'm going to try to have some in all the price ranges. So, because I'm like, I want everybody to be able to have something if they want. And if you all want to design something, send me your designs, even if it's like an idea you have and you didn't actually design it. If you're saying like, hey, we should do something that looks, like this, has this or that, do it. Because I am looking at all designs that come into me, all ideas that come into me. And even if I have to switch it around a little bit, add something to it, or, whatever, change a color or something, I'm adding the person's name. So like if Miss Sunrise Dawn, if she sends in something and I use the design in the merch, I'm putting her name somewhere on that merch. And I think that's kind of cool. I think it kind of, makes it our channel. It's not just mine, it's our channel. It's all of ours. Nico says, you get used to things and your limits get changed and personal boundaries and values altered. Absolutely. Creepy B5 says, Susie, or I love you, Susie. Thank you. I am working DoorDash right now. I love and support anyone leaving. Absolutely. Absolutely. Denise says, it's obvious that you have researched and taken from your own life experiences. Very wise advice. Thank you. I did. I researched this a lot. That's one thing about being sick or not feeling, not necessarily being sick, but not feeling well, is you got lots of time to sit and research things. Y'all should see, I've got like a folder and I have got like 4 or 5 different things that I'm working on that I'm going to, do. I don't know if I'm going to I have another one I wanted to do today, but I don't know if I'm going to get to it or not, but I hope so. But if not, tomorrow, right? I'm learning to pace myself with the research too, because there's been times that I have fallen asleep and my husband comes in and it's like, tap, tap, tap. Whoops. And he's like, are you asleep? Hello. He'll like tap on my screen and wake me up or something. And, and I'm like, no, I'm researching. He goes, well, your screen is black and your eyes are closed and you're snoring. But I think I'm researching. I was the last I knew. Yes, Nico says, we are most of all humans. Never forget it. We all make mistakes, but we can get up on our feet and hopefully learn. Absolutely. Creepy B says, thank you. I love your channel. Well, this channel loves you. Absolutely. Susan P, hey. She's saying hi to me and the chat. You guys are I love when you're saying hi to each other. I love that. And all of you channel members, I'm terrible about announcing that. But if they're in green, y'all, they are channel members and it thrills me. I got a deal that says that I can have, I think, 12 more emojis. So I was working on that last night. And so I'm going to try to finish that up. So we'll have even more emojis, hopefully tonight or in the morning. So Creepy B says, I was ready when I left a 20-year relationship. Yep. Mine was 17 and not all of it was bad. And I was lucky. He didn't beat me. He was a little hands-on sometimes. He didn't disappoint. He slandered me as a mom and wife. He sent many text messages to everyone. Yeah. Yeah. What was funny was he accused me of cheating on him, but when he moved out, he moved in with one of my best friends. And it wasn't just a couch to surf. Yeah. I kind of got even though my beauty shop had a float. I mean, it was like, you take your little victories. I guess I didn't get even, but you take little victories when you can. So my beauty shop that I owned had a float in this Christmas parade. And I was throwing candy and everything, but every once in a while I would actually throw brushes and combs and stuff to people. Well, I saw her. So I have a pretty good arm, y'all. And I flung the biggest brush we had and bonked her ass right in the head. It was so fun. And then I was like, oops. That's what I mean when I say I'm not as nice as y'all think I am. Sometimes I'm pretty mean. Yeah, we are all very sorry that you experienced that creepy B5. Absolutely. It is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Nico says, I hope you feel safer today. I had a literal hell some years ago, so I can relate. Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of us can relate. And even if we weren't in a cult, guys, if you are under the radar and want to leave, we are not what they tell you we are. We are just normal people, and we understand what you're going through. Some of us have went through some of the same situations, maybe not a cult, but the same kind of situations, and we can relate. And even if we've not been in something like that, we still are, most people are going to be willing to help you, even if it's just to point you in the right direction. Susan B says, nobody deserves to be treated badly. If you are leaving, never think the other person would not hurt you. Absolutely. Always prepare for the worst and pray for the best. Absolutely. Yeah. I know a lot of you are also viewers of Reese's channel, and I'm more worried about her right now than I ever have been, because the most dangerous time is when you actually leave. And I know Tommy is there helping her pack and everything, but still, the most dangerous time is when you leave. Sunrise Dawn. My husband tends to be controlling, or tries to anyway. He's trying to be better, or I'd already be gone. Absolutely. People can change. And I am not against giving somebody a chance to change. It's if they don't. If they, are not going to change. I mean, my ex-husband, I would never want to be married to him now, just because I am so happy where I'm at. This is not one of those relationships where you're going to hear everything's hearts and flowers, because it's not. But I am very happy and safe and all that now. And you're not going to hear down the road that he was actually horrible and that I was just hiding it. I did that for 17 years. I'm not going to do it again. So, not horrible. He wasn't. Sometimes he was horrible. But he has changed. My ex-husband has changed. And so, absolutely, Miss Sunrise Dawn, I believe that your husband can change if he wants to. But if he doesn't, leave. And I know that's easier said than done, because I lived it. I had all the promises of I'm going to change, I'm going to do better. He never did. I mean, never did. He wasn't even trying to. So that's where your husband at least is trying. Mine never tried. He just said it and then went right back to the same things. Nico says his therapy has been a lifesaver. Absolutely. Creepy B5 says, Susie, this is so important. Thank you. Thank you. Nico says, I have trust issues. No wonder I've been single for more than 15 years. I got married very quickly after my divorce. Now, my divorce took like 2.5 years, y'all. I had moved on by the time it was over. Mark and I were together by the time my divorce was over. But like I said, it took 2.5 years. And whether people agree with that or not, that was my life and my decisions. But even now, I still have trust issues. So I can understand that, Nico. I really can. I was asked to hold a lecture about affirmations on Wednesday in the program I am at currently, looking for a job, sort of a personal coaching. They liked it much. So it was a boost for me. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is awesome. Yes. Many don't realize that there is a mourning and grief process even when leaving a bad, toxic job. Even more so with relationships, groups, etc. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have left absolutely toxic jobs and missed it. Missed the good parts or missed the security of it. So it absolutely, there is a grief process. And I'm going to talk about in one of the videos that I've got planning some of my little culty situations that I have found myself in as far as jobs. And when I was looking back at them to do research to see where they're at now, to kind of update myself and you, I found myself on 2 of them out of six or seven, wanting to go back. What? I know. I was like, are you crazy? I literally was like drawn to go back. Because when you get away from it, you start thinking about the good things, right? When you're in it, you're thinking, oh, this is awful. I hate this, whether it's a relationship or a job. You hate this. You don't like that. This is awful. This is awful. There is a point when you leave that all you think about is the good. It's just like grieving. When somebody passes, you know how all you think about is the very funniest, most loving, caring things about them? You don't think about the parts where they were kind of an asshole. Because we're all kind of assholes. But you don't think about that anymore. It's the same with a cult or a job or a bad relationship. There absolutely is. Here is the link to the SPTV Foundation. I am going to start running a deal across a little banner thing across my screen that also includes that. I was going to do it today and I forgot. So I'm going to make that up and have it hopefully for the next ones that I start doing. And I'm just going to have it on there all the time so that if by some chance somebody that needs it is watching, whether I have great mods like Miss Sunrise Dawn that put it in the chat or not, that it'll be running across the video. And also for those that come in later for the replay, they'll have it. So I'm definitely going to do that. Denise says, my mom died when I was 17. That's exactly how I felt watching everyone else's life go on. But mine had ended. Absolutely. And it is hard. And that is part of the grief process that we have to realize, whether it's losing someone, whether it's leaving a bad situation or a cult. Everybody else's life is still going to be spinning around and going on, and you're going to kind of feel like you're alone. And it can be very, like, I don't know, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but it's just like intimidating and overwhelming to watch. It's like you're going by. When my sister died, I walked into the funeral, the sanctuary, and it's quiet when the family's walking in. And I could hear all these people from all over the place whispering, there's Susie. There's Susie. Look at her. Bless her heart. She looks so sad. There's Susie. I could hear all these people. I could tell you who they were, and I could tell you what they said. And nobody was talking loud. And that's what it kind of feels like when you leave a bad relationship or a cult. Everything is kind of magnified and more intense. And you just got to be ready for it. When my mom died, I was ready for it, and it wasn't as overwhelming. And so that's what this video is about, is being aware of these things and being prepared for it so that it doesn't overwhelm you and you don't just turn around and run back, whether it be a cult or a relationship. Thank you, Nico. I hope that it does help anybody that would need it from whatever. Absolutely. Perhaps we could collect a library of care and health advice over time in our community. Absolutely. Creepy B5 says those seeds are so important. Yes, we are sorry, Denise, and hugs to you. That's terrible. I can't imagine. Yes, even school and work can turn into such an environment. Absolutely. You guys are so great. Look at all of you. Creepy B5 just turned 58 too. I'm almost there. 6 more days. And Castillas, hi. Good to see you. Good to see you all. This is kind of a different video for me, but I really thought it was an important one. This is my pajamas, y'all. I don't know if you came in late. I've been sick for 2 or 3 days, and when I came on here, I had on my robe too. Took a shower, washed my hair, all the things. And I thought, I just don't want to get dressed. So into the pajamas I went. So y'all are seeing me in my jammies. I'm going to go lay down when this is over. I did put on a little bit of makeup that will probably come right back off. You were buffering, Susie. Didn't you see the rotating cogwheel? Yeah. Yes, having a folder of all the projects, once a reporter, always a reporter. Y'all, it's crazy. My husband just like shakes his head. He's just like, okay. And Casillas is a new cult member. Thank you. A new channel member. Thank you. I'm going to be getting some new emojis hopefully tonight, but if not tomorrow. If you all have any ideas for new emojis, put them in the comment section after the video, because I'm having a hard time coming up with some. Oh, thank you. She's so happy I started this channel. Oh, you guys are so cool. I'm kind of speeding through some of these just because I'm drained. Nico's going to be 57 later this summer. That's cool. A lot of us are about the same age. Denise will be 66 on the 20th. I'm a twin. Cool. My dad is a twin, and there was 7 kids in his family, and he's a twin, and then his younger brother and sister are twins. My grandpa said that to get a boy, he always had to take a girl, because there's 7 kids, 5 of which were girls. I always wanted twins. You should have a notebook and a quill. The fact finder you are, Susie. Yeah. I have a notebook, several of them. There's one in the living room, a couple in the bedroom. There's one over here on the dining room table. There's one in my car, so that if I'm, because my daughter a lot of times will drive me places, and so I'm over there writing down things that I think of. Oh, you've done a wonderful service today, Susie. Get some rest. We appreciate you. Thank you. So yeah, I'm going to get some rest, guys. I'm really getting tired, so I'm going to rest. I will probably not be back on till tomorrow, but I've got a couple of good ones, and one I think is pretty funny. So I've also got one I'm working on that I'm going to have Mark in here for. So I informed him that his presence is going to be required again in the near future. So thank you, Nico, very much for the good live, and hugs to you and all. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys so much. I really do. I'm constantly telling everybody I have a YouTube channel and I have the absolute best chats of anybody. I love you too, Susan. I love all of you. I really do. It's amazing how you can really love people that you don't physically know. Like you don't like know them in your real world. But I do. I care about all of you, every one of you. So, but I'm going to go. I'm going to fall asleep sitting here if I don't. So, yes. Hi, Fiona. Absolutely. Y'all, if you see somebody that's live, go join their chat and tell them that I sent you, because I don't even have my phone in here to tell you who's live right now. So go watch somebody else, see what they've got to say today. Let's remember that every voice raises the volume, right? We can all, raise the volume on this fight against Scientology and other cults and abusive situations of all kinds. Absolutely, Creepy Bee. This world has saved me. This world has done me wonders too, because I was just so depressed with all the stuff with my cancer and everything. And this has just really saved me. In a lot of ways, I am such a happier person. Today, I don't look so happy. I'm just exhausted. But generally, I am laughing and cutting up again. And I feel more like myself since I started this channel than I have in 2 years. And I thank you guys for that. So, but anyway, I'm going to go before, how many times have I said that? I'm like Reese. I will see you guys later. Probably see you in the chats of some other channels because I tend to show up all over the place. And even if I don't talk, I'm usually there. I try to pop in and let them know I'm there, though, because it's important, I think, for them to know that other creators support them. I love seeing other creators come in my chat when they can. And I understand they can't always. So, but anyway, talk to you guys later. Go have a great rest of the weekend. Love you all. Bye.